Attraction often hides in plain sight. Most people think that if someone likes them, they'll know. There will be some big moment, a confession, a clear signal that can't be misread, but that's not how it usually works in real life. Real attraction is quieter than that. It shows up in patterns, not announcements. People hide their feelings for all kinds of reasons. Fear of rejection is the obvious one, but there's also fear of ruining a friendship, fear of making things awkward, fear of not being good enough, or just plain uncertainty about whether what they're feeling is even real yet. So instead of saying anything directly, they show you, through their actions, through the way they prioritize you, through the attention they give when they think you're not noticing. The problem is that most of us aren't looking for those signs. We're either focused on someone else entirely, or we've already decided this person is just a friend, and our brain won't let us see them any other way. We've categorized them, and once someone is in a category, it's hard to see them outside of it. But the signs are there. The lingering eye contact. The way they remember things you don't even remember telling them. How they somehow always make time for you even when they're busy with everyone else. The fact that they go quiet when you mention dating someone new. These aren't accidents. These aren't coincidences. These are someone managing feelings they haven't figured out how to express yet. And the tragic part is that while you're completely oblivious, they're watching everything you do, analyzing every interaction, hoping you'll notice, hoping that one day you'll see them the way they've been seeing you all along. Attraction doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes you have to be willing to actually look for it. We overlook what's familiar. There's something strange about how human perception works. The things that are always there become invisible. We stop seeing them because our brains assume they don't need attention. And the same thing happens with people. Someone who's been in your life for a while, who's consistently shown up, who's always been available when you needed them. We stop questioning why. We just accept it as how things are. They're the friend who's always around, the person who always texts back, the one who always seems happy to help. But we rarely stop to ask ourselves why they're doing all of that. We assume it's just their personality, that they're like this with everyone, that it doesn't mean anything specific about how they feel about us. Familiarity breeds comfort, but it also breeds blindness. You see this person so often that you stop really looking at them. You know their face so well that you don't notice when their expression changes around you specifically. You're so used to their presence that you don't realize how much effort they're actually putting in to be there. And because you've labeled them as friend or coworker or whatever category you assigned them early on, your brain filters out any information that doesn't fit that label, even when they're being more attentive than a friend normally would be, even when they're going out of their way in ways that should be obvious. The person who's been right there the whole time becomes the last person you'd ever consider romantically, not because they're not attractive or interesting or worth considering, but simply because they've been there too long. You've gotten too comfortable. You've stopped seeing them as a possibility. And while you're busy chasing someone new, someone exciting, someone who barely knows you exist, the person who actually cares is standing right next to you, wondering what it would take for you to finally notice. Body language tells the real story. Words lie. People say things they don't mean all the time. They downplay their feelings. They play it cool. They protect themselves by not being too honest. But the body doesn't lie. It gives away what the mouth won't say. Eye contact is one of the biggest tells. When someone likes you, they look at you differently. Not just when you're talking to them, but when you're not. You'll catch them staring and they'll look away quickly. Or they'll hold your gaze just a second longer than feels normal. There's something in that extra moment. A wait. A question they're not asking out loud. Then there's proximity. People are drawn to what they're attracted to. Literally, physically drawn. If someone consistently finds reasons to be near you, sitting next to you when there are other seats available, standing close in group settings, somehow always ending up in your space, that's not random. That's their body responding to feelings their words haven't caught up to yet. Watch for touch too, not big gestures, small ones. A hand on your arm when they're making a point, fixing something on your shirt, finding excuses to make physical contact that wouldn't mean much on their own, but add up over time. Touch is how we test boundaries, how we see if someone pulls away or leans in. Mirroring is another huge one. When someone subconsciously copies your body language, crossing their legs when you do, leaning back when you lean back, matching your energy, that's their nervous system syncing with yours. It's an involuntary signal that they're tuned into you on a level they probably don't even realize. All of these things happen below conscious thought. Nobody plans to mirror someone. Nobody decides to stare. The body just does it when attraction is there. So if you start paying attention, really paying attention, you'll see what people aren't saying. Effort reveals interest. People are busy. Everyone has a million things competing for their time and attention. Work, family, responsibilities, their own problems. So when someone consistently makes time for you, despite all of that, it means something. It means you're a priority, not an afterthought. Look at who shows up when things aren't fun. Anyone can hang out when there's a party or an event or something entertaining happening, but who helps you move? Who brings you soup when you're sick? Who stays on the phone with you when you're stressed about something that doesn't affect them at all? That's the person who cares. Because helping you move furniture or listening to you vent about work drama isn't enjoyable. It's effort. And people don't put in effort unless the person on the receiving end matters to them. The small, consistent actions tell you more than the big, occasional gestures. It's not about someone buying you an expensive gift once. It's about someone checking in on you regularly, asking how that thing went that you mentioned last week, offering to pick you up so you don't have to take an Uber, remembering your coffee order without you having to say it. These things require attention. They require someone to be thinking about you when you're not around. And that's the key. People who have feelings for you think about you in the gaps. When they're doing something else, you cross their mind. So they text you. They reach out. They find little ways to be helpful because making your life easier makes them happy. And here's the part most people miss. If someone is doing all of this while barely asking for anything in return, that's even more telling. They're not keeping score. They're not doing it so you owe them. They're doing it because being good to you feels good to them. That's not friendship. That's something deeper. They get nervous specifically around you. Here's something that doesn't make sense until you understand what's causing it. Someone who's normally relaxed, funny, confident with everyone else suddenly becomes a little off around you. They talk faster, they fumble their words, they laugh at things that aren't that funny, they fidget with their phone or their hands or whatever's nearby. You might think they're just awkward. But ask yourself this, are they awkward with everyone or just with you? If it's just with you, that's not social anxiety. That's you. You're the variable that changes their behavior. And the reason is simple. When someone has feelings for you, the stakes feel higher. Every interaction matters more. They're hyper aware of how they're coming across. They're worried about saying the wrong thing or looking stupid or missing their chance. That self-consciousness creates nervous energy. It's the same reason people get butterflies before a first date or a job interview. When something matters, your body reacts. Your heart beats faster. Your brain moves quicker. Your composure slips just slightly. Watch for the small signs. Do they fix their hair when you walk into the room? Do they suddenly stand up straighter? Do they seem unusually concerned about how they look or what they're wearing when they know they're going to see you? And here's another layer to it. Someone who's usually quick with comebacks or jokes might go quiet around you. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they're filtering everything through, will this make me look good or bad? That filtering creates hesitation, and hesitation reads as nervousness. The irony is that this nervousness is actually endearing when you understand what it means. It's not weakness. It's someone caring enough about your opinion that they can't quite hide how much you affect them. Their composure cracks just slightly. And in that crack, you see the truth. They find reasons to stay in contact. Look at your phone right now. Scroll through your messages. Who texts you with random questions that don't really need answers? Who sends you memes or articles or songs saying, "This made me think of you"? Who reaches out just to ask how your day was when there's no other reason to talk? That person isn't actually asking whether they should watch that show. They're not genuinely confused about which restaurant to go to. They don't really need your opinion on something they could easily decide themselves. Those are excuses, thin ones. But they work because you take them at face value. What they're actually doing is creating touch points, opportunities to interact with you, to stay on your radar, to keep the conversation going because letting it go quiet feels like losing connection. Think about it from their perspective. They want to talk to you, but they can't just say, "I wanted to hear from you," without revealing too much. So they find reasons, low-stakes reasons that don't seem too forward or too obvious. A question, a recommendation, something funny that happened. The frequency matters too. If someone is consistently reaching out, not just when they need something, but just to maintain contact, that's intentional. People are busy. They don't randomly think to text someone multiple times a week unless that person is occupying mental space. And here's the subtle part. Pay attention to response time. Someone who likes you will usually text back faster than they text other people. Not always immediately because they don't want to seem too eager, but consistently, reliably. They don't leave you on read for days. Another tell is who initiates. If it's always them starting the conversation, if they're always the one checking in, if you could probably go weeks without talking if they didn't reach out first, that imbalance tells you something. They're working to keep you in their life. The friend zone sometimes works both ways. Everyone talks about being stuck in the friend zone, but nobody talks about how you might be doing the exact same thing to someone else without even realizing it. You're so focused on the person who doesn't see you that you're completely blind to the person who does. It's a strange kind of irony. You're putting all your energy into someone who's barely giving you the time of day, analyzing their texts, wondering if they like you, trying to figure out how to get their attention, and meanwhile, someone else is doing all of that with you, waiting for you to notice them the same way you're waiting to be noticed. The person who's been waiting is usually someone close, someone who's been around long enough that you stopped questioning why they're always there. You assume it's just friendship, just how things are. You don't consider that maybe there's more to it because you've never let yourself look at them that way. And here's the hard part. The longer they wait, the harder it becomes for them to say anything because now there's history. There's a dynamic that feels established. Saying something risks everything. So they keep waiting, hoping you'll eventually see what they've been trying to show you this whole time. Sometimes the person you've been searching for was never far away. They were just waiting in a place you weren't looking, standing in the background while you chased someone in the foreground, being patient while you were distracted. And the tragedy of it is this. By the time you finally turn around and notice, they might have already decided to stop waiting. They might have convinced themselves you'll never see them that way. They might have moved on. So if someone's been there for you consistently, if they've shown up in all the ways we've talked about, maybe it's worth actually looking at them, really looking, before it's too late. Conclusion. So here we are at the end, and I'm guessing someone's face has been in your mind this whole time. Maybe you've been trying to talk yourself out of it. Maybe you've been telling yourself it's not possible, that you're reading too much into things, that they couldn't possibly feel that way about you. But the signs don't lie, and if multiple things we talked about today lined up with one specific person, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. That's someone who's been showing you how they feel without using words. The question now is what you do with that information. You don't owe anyone your feelings just because they have feelings for you. Attraction can't be forced and shouldn't be faked. If you genuinely don't feel that way about them, that's okay. But at least now you know. At least now you can be honest about what's actually happening instead of being oblivious to it. But if there's even a small part of you that's curious, if there's a part of you that's been wondering the same thing without admitting it to yourself, maybe it's worth exploring. Maybe it's worth having an actual conversation. Maybe it's worth letting yourself see this person outside of the category you've kept them in. Because here's what I know about life. The people who love us best are often the ones we almost overlooked, the ones who were patient while we were distracted, the ones who stayed close while we were chasing someone far away. And sometimes the greatest love stories don't start with fireworks and lightning bolts. Sometimes they start with someone finally turning around and noticing what's been right there all along. So pay attention. Actually look at the people around you. Notice who shows up, who remembers, who makes you a priority even when you didn't ask them to. The first letter of their name might actually shock you, not because it's someone random, but because it's someone you never let yourself consider until right now. And now that you see it, the only question left is what you're going to do about it.